We're back here at Women in New Energy, and I'm joined by Katharine from Powerful Women and Jura Next BP. I feel like that makes you the most qualified person in the room to speak about all things women in new energy. You hit all of those points. How have you found the event so far?
Oh, brilliant. Well, thanks for having me today and the opportunity to speak on the panel to a sellout audience, which is awesome. And it's great to see, especially in Aberdeen today. I'm really excited because this morning we heard from Tara Singh, the CEO of Renewable UK, and she gave a keynote which really struck me. One of the points she made around decisions, having the insight to number 10 and her position in number 10 when she was there, to see some decisions are driven by fear and pressure and influence, which was quite depressing. And then to go on to a conversation about AI, so a very intelligent, thought-provoking conversation. So it was great because we're not here to talk about fixing women and building confidence, and we're here to talk about thought leadership and intelligent conversation. So the AI conversation and the ethical practices of AI and the regulation was a really interesting conversation for me. And then obviously we have all the stands, ranging from like offshore safety to AI itself. So it's great to see, yeah.
And you mentioned just being on stage there. Now there was possibly the most interactive moment in the entire show was that big survey. The results came in, and that really struck a chord with me. So 69% of the women at this event said that they're impacted, their careers being impacted by the downturn now, whether that's through redundancy, whether that's through changing careers. So you were the person who put together that question. First of all, did that high a number shock you?
Yeah. It proves that, especially the local context in Aberdeen is really important to me. That's why I became a Powerful Woman ambassador for Scotland, because our voice, our Aberdonian voice, needs to be in the room. And it is a real shock to know that figure of 69% of women in the room are going through either a major career transition and that they're choosing to leave the industry. I had a conversation with a lady who, after a year of trying to find a job, she's a geologist and she was made redundant a year ago, and she's over 50 and she can't get a job. So she's leaving the industry. She's going to civil engineering and working in that capacity. It's a real shame. We're losing the women, and we need to change that.
Well, if you want more of an Aberdonian voice in the podcast, then we can make sure to speak a bit of Doric if you fancy.
Yeah.
But I guess when it comes to a more serious note on that, how do we fix that problem, that issue that we're seeing? 69%, such a massive figure. You spoke at the start about Tara this morning mentioning sort of an insight into government. Stuart Payne, your fellow panelist, mentioned, government involvement in sort of, initiatives to make sure that women aren't as disproportionately affected by sort of circumstances in personal life, like becoming a parent and shared parental leave and so on and so forth. Is that the way we fix this problem, or is this a problem that's unique to the energy sector?
I mean, have you got all day?
I have
we don't
all
even
the time in the world for you, Katharine.
I mean, there's so many layers to this. Unfortunately, it's never as simple. There's no one answer. There's no one panacea. And as Carla, my other esteemed panel member, mentioned, it depends on what stage you are in your career as to the reasons why you might be leaving or experiencing a career transition. Everyone has a role. Mm-hmm. So government, regulators, private companies, industry, we all have a role. And actually, in Powerful Woman's annual State of the Nation report, what I like about it is that it has next steps and actions that you can take today to address this, but also longer term actions that you can take. One in particular that I like is the robust succession planning, and also tracking attrition rates and making sure that you are and promotion rates, making sure you're aware of that talent pipeline and the risk of a leaky pipeline is flagged. So yeah, but read the report, download the report, read the report, understand the actions we can take. I think that's the important thing.
You know, you mentioned the State of the Nation report, and you mentioned you highlighted some key findings, and I'll be honest with you, it didn't fill me with confidence. There's a lot of slipping backwards, isn't there, this year, and you were asked about that and about, you know, well, what can we do to counteract that, and you said, when life gives you lemons, make lemonade. Now, I want to ask you, I thought we were all trying to make lemonade already. Are we following the wrong recipe?
Oh yeah, maybe. I think you're right. I'm an optimist. I don't know about you. You strike me as an optimist.
I'll be honest, I'm a journalist, so I'm a pessimist.
Oh no. Okay, but anyway, I'm an optimist, and it's important to say that we have overall made progress. So Powerful Women is an organization that's 11 years old now. 10 years ago, if you look at what the statistics then, I mean, we have come a long way. So I don't want to lose that progress. It's easy to feel like you're in this vacuum of negativity right now. But we have made progress. It isn't all doom and gloom. And us as individuals, we all have a role to play in changing the narrative and changing that. I think that's, we need to. Sometimes in Aberdeen we have a reputation for being a bit dour and like negative, but I think we just need to change the narrative, change the outlook, and change from within rather than leave the industry, and find your tribe. So that was a big theme coming out of today. Females finding their tribe and a sense of belonging, and I think that as an individual it's hard work. It's really, really hard to do it on your own. So find your tribe, find your collective, and then use that momentum for change.
So is your tribe part of the sponsorship model that you were speaking about? Or is that maybe more about speaking with colleagues that are around about the same level in your organization as you and sort of finding your groups there? How do you find your tribe?
Yeah, so in some companies, in larger companies, I've spent most of my career working in big corporations. Typically, they'll have networks, minority networks or employee resource groups. So that's one way of finding your tribe. There are many different ways of finding your tribe. It's also finding your allies or finding mentors. They can also be your tribe. Sponsors as well. There are different ways of finding your tribe.
And so, you know, you mentioned the sort of sponsorship model as opposed to mentoring while you were on the stage. I might want you to just give a slight recap on that for anyone who's listening to this and wasn't in the room. I mean, how dare they not be in the room?
I know.
But I get it's a sellout event. Everyone's wanting to be here. But I guess there's that, and also with the State of the Nation reports are signaling a maybe slight slip in female representation in the most senior roles. When you're relying on senior leadership to be your sponsor, does that highlight the importance of making sure men are on side with DEI messaging? Yeah,
okay, so evidence shows women are over-mentored and under-sponsored. Okay, that's the first fact I want to share. The second is a sponsor doesn't have to be a woman or a man. It can be either. It doesn't matter. A sponsor doesn't happen overnight. A sponsor comes from years of cultivating relationships that my sponsor, I have a few sponsors. I'm lucky and privileged to have a few sponsors, one of which is a lady called Jacqueline Craw. And my mother introduced me to her when I was at university because my mother worked with her. And at that point, Jacqueline took an interest in my university degree, and every so often when I'd come back to Aberdeen, I'd check in with her. She was always asking questions. She'd always want to meet for coffee. Over time, she sort of became my mentor, and as time's gone on, and she's ultimately become my sponsor, but my friend. And I think, so sponsorship is a bit of a risky business. So a sponsor is someone who sits in the room, in the boardroom, and when you're not in the room, and vouches for you and puts their neck on the line and says, I sponsor her. She has what it takes. She is delivered. She should be at the table, and then continue to make sure that you're comfortable in that room and owning the room as well. So I could talk all day about sponsorship, but yeah, that's a little insight into my own experience of sponsorship.
Well, no, that was very kind of you to share that, Catherine. I think that's all we've got time for. I did say I've got all the time in the world for you, and you can stay here all day.
Yeah.
But I do think we need the cameras, but it's fine.
Right.
I'll just catch up with you later.
Yeah.
But thank
No
you for
editing.
joining us. Yeah, there we go. Thank you very much for joining us, and thank you very much for watching. If you'd like to stay up to date with everything that's happening right here at Women in New Energy in Aberdeen, well, there's two places you can go. It's either energyvoice.com or the Women in New Energy LinkedIn. We'll see you there.